Alfred, I was asking a question that you say you interact. You were mentioning names and, pointing, not necessarily mentioning names, but saying some of the places, mentioning locations. And the question Kemi asked, and I was building on that what were the concerns this security personnel gave with regards to they not going into these locations to fish out perhaps persons or people, or even bring out those things that you mentioned earlier, addressing it, because that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. That's on the one hand. Then we saw a letter by an elder statesman from, Bayelsa, accusing one of the contestants in the coming election as also part of those fueling the insecurity in the state.
Okay, now...
we are not mentioning names, so... Right.
If I have to mention name, I will mention name because there is proof that is already out there, not the one in my pocket. Now, with respect to the concerns of the security agencies, why they are not going there, rather than answer that, please just permit me to encourage them to do more.
No, it's good you answer that to give us a clearer picture. Yes, no, you are the one there because Nigerians are watching.
You see, the concern can only be political. And that's why I'm calling on Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Asiwaju. Okay, that, you see, you can't talk about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu without his democratic antecedents from the days of Nadeko. And I'm very sure from his experience and his exposure to politics and beyond, there are so many things that cannot go on under his watch. And I want to believe that he's hearing all of these complaints and he will also add to the motivation of security agencies to do their job top-notch. I want to rest on the fact that the Inspector General of Police resumed his duty by saying he's feeling like a lion. I believe that lion is the lion that will go devouring crime and criminality.
Right.
I also want to rest on the comments from the Chief of Defense Staff. I always like to address him as a fine gentleman because I just like him, even if I don't know him. That the terrorists that will terrorize Nigeria tomorrow should not live beyond today. These are very strong words from people manning different institutions. So I just want to believe that they will just do their best and restore the confidence of Mr. President and Nigerians in the electoral system in this off-cycle election, and that violence will be brought to its minimum. Now, going to the allegations by Chief Clerk, do you blame Chief Clerk when a personality not less than the deputy governorship aspirant of the APC, in the presence of a mammoth crowd and security agencies, addressed people and advised that if anybody comes around this place, kill him. Don't just kill him. Put him in the rivers of brass. After all, that is the only person, that will not be the first person to die. Now, the governorship aspirant of that same party was interrogated on what his deputy governorship candidate said. And the governorship candidate said, and I quote, that his deputy governorship candidate only meant that if bad people come around, they can treat them like that. So the question is, when did it become the duty of the governorship candidates of any political party to determine bad people, take laws into their hand, kill them, throw them into the river because they will not be the first to die? So do you blame Chief Clerk for what he has written? So the question now is, if this was not said in the bedroom where it was secretly tape recorded, but was said with so much effrontery, if you like, call it temerity, in the presence of people and security agencies, you can now understand the culture of violence that is being promoted and prospered by these candidates. So the question is, people can say, hey, Chief Clark said it, Chief Clark said it. There's no smoke without fire. This is what has been said in public. And don't forget that Chief Clark is a leader of the region. You can imagine what he has heard behind closed doors.
So the pressure is still on the security agencies, as in when this allegation that you have just made now, this is, you know...
Is there an allegation? The video is everywhere. You want me to give to you?
I'm just saying,
Okay.
Because you raised an instructive point that when does it become the role of a civilian to say you want to stop marauders, for example, now in your domain and then throw them into the water.
Kill, use the word kill as they use.
And then you now raise the point that when does it become the role when you have security agencies? So me, I'm asking that this would also be a good opportunity for the security agencies to be up and doing, to be impartial. This is, you know, something that affects lives and properties.
Thank you.
Right?
You see, to further buttress even your question or answer your question, the question is, why is it that the security agencies have not invited these candidates for questioning and further interrogation? Is it that they are waiting to surround their environment with abundance of security agencies on the day of election when they may have actually deployed people out of them? Then secondly, what about our laws, especially as enshrined in the Electoral Act?
The people petitioned the police to say that this statement have been made. We are not seeing you calling these people to book. Is there did anything of such happen? That's another aspect.
Let me ask.
No, it's a question.
Yeah. I want to answer this question.
Right.
If I come on this set and I make a statement that undermines national security, do you or anybody...
If you are not taking action, if no one is taking... We expect the people to, you know, take action, so to speak. If the police or the security agencies did not do their job.
Fine, woman. Which petition is more than this conversation we are having to the hearing of everybody? Which petition is more than the concerns Chief Clark has raised? But you understand, which petition is more than the viral video that you can hear? So if security agencies hear that somebody is coming to raise these studios down, they don't know that they have to take charge of this environment before the person comes.
The people occupying this space also have a responsibility. That's what I'm trying to make you understand.
Let me also tell you, several petitions have been written verbally and non-verbally, including this conversation we are having now. And this is not the first conversation on this topic.
Right.
And the summary of this, the moral of this story is that we cannot allow this kind of impunity to fester.
But then there are mechanisms that have been put in place. And I just want to know now how much good it have brought in, especially the issue of inter-party interfacing days to the election. So INEC is always having, you know, these inter-party engagements. I don't know, you know, the place of, you know, activists as yourself there, but I reckon that you would be monitoring these things. And security, paramount on everybody's minds. How far have these inter-party engagements with agencies, with INEC and its affiliates, how far have they gone if you cannot arrest this before it escalates?
You see, these things don't go far without sufficient deterrent deployed by the states. That's why we have a state. In the absence of law and order, there's no states. Okay, so we can say, what can inter-party do? People who are looking for what to eat this morning and wake up tomorrow. The states. You see, let's get real with these things. The INEC officer that you just trained 2 weeks to election, or you understand, the police constable who is on the street and maybe is yet to understand the body language of his superior. So that's why the critical stakeholders By that I mean the top brass. For us to continue to have a state and have this country that we all desire for, you know, we all have so much dreams for this country. Look at what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu say now. Within a short time, we're supposed to build a $1 trillion economy. Is it by lawlessness? You see, these things have economic dimensions. When the investors you are looking for and for other foreign partners outside the country begin to hear stuffs like this, untamed, they begin to like, am I going to some sort of environment that is beyond the rating I have given it? But trust me, this is a country that is far better than all of these rubbles. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm looking at the implication of all of this that you have mentioned on the election come Saturday as it is, because voter turnout or voter apathy, as we often say, it might be the situation from what you're saying.
Yeah. Sufficient deployment of security would help to encourage a reasonable voter turnout. And like you said in the beginning, okay, if we're expecting 100% voter turnout, the whole process should have been like 2-3 years ago in what we do. You know, you see, generally, you know, nations are built on values, belief systems, and what you generally call culture. When I say culture, I don't mean dance and drama. These values and belief systems. So the question is, how have we built these values of law and order? Okay? You see, in developed countries, you must be careful the way you point at people, especially ladies. You account for it. So we must pay attention to these little details that we think do not matter. Is it little details that we think that do not matter that destroy the bigger details that we want to give attention to? And you see, there's a saying in my place, okay, that opuyeke, kalayeke, opuye say meaning, is this little things that you ignore that snowball into the bigger things that destroys the society? You get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm sober. I'm not happy that in 2023 we are still talking about these details. We can't be better off.
All right, let me take you back to your earlier concerns about certain locations in Bayelsa State, for example, that are already projecting a worry for you. And we saw some semblance of that in the February-March elections to the insecurity dimensions. Okay, so now police is saying road and water transport movements have been bad. I wonder, in your experience, what impact that would bring. And, you know, on the flip side, the governor, you know, who is also contesting a second term, looking at these challenges, these security challenges, are there ways he can intervene in a way that it will not seem like, but then you are the chief security officer, so to speak. So doesn't that put him in a better place to sanitize the system?
Let me tell you one thing. Under the less than 4 years of the Doyediri's administration, there's no doubt of its tremendous achievement in the area of infrastructure, education, health, and other areas. But you see, what towers above all these achievements is that in the last less than 4 years, by his body language, by his attitude, by his way of tolerance, everything about him, one thing Bayelsans are proud of him, even the opposition acknowledges that, is that in the last less than 4 years, Governor Doyediri, so to say, has been able to enthrone peace in Bayelsa.
But this, you still have these concerns, the brass regions and all that.
Now, these concerns are only coming
Because of the election?
because of this election. And it shouldn't be.
And he doesn't have control over that.
He will do his best, but the federal government and the institutions of states, such as the police, that is not under his control. The DSS is not under his control.
But
the military is
the
not under
military
his
has been
control.
deployed. We saw show of force in Kogi, Bayelsa. We saw them.
Good. Okay? So that's why we are taking advantage of platforms like this to say, come and ensure that the peace that Bayelsans have enjoyed for the past years, that peace reigns during the election and post the election. Because Bayelsa occupies a very critical position in the equation of the Niger Delta. Look at President Bola Ahmed Tinubu created a ministry for blue economy.
Yeah.
Why? The blue economy can only take advantage of the 850 kilometers of coastal line in Nigeria. 25% of that 850 kilometer coastal line is in Bayelsa State.
Right.
Can you imagine one state housing about 25%? And not only is it housing 25%, it is strategic to all the oil installations in this country. And of course, I don't need to mention here that it is the oil that feeds this country. So that's how vital it is to the economy of this country. Okay? And Governor Doyejiri haven't maintained peace in Bayelsa State, which even the opposition party acknowledges, okay, is critical.
If they acknowledge, they won't be running against you.
No, they acknowledge the peace.
The peace.
Well, that's still something.
You know, they acknowledge the peace. Everybody knows that.
Right.
You understand? In short, the statistics in the crime records and everything shows that. You understand? And let me tell you something. It is that peace that we need for businesses to return to the Niger Delta. And if you, for any person who understands development economics, you can't be talking about security in any environment without the upsurge of economic activities, because it is economic activities that will put food on the table of people by creating jobs, employment, and keeping people busy doing what is reasonable and not what is nonsense, such as violence.
But in terms of assuaging your fears and, fears of, well-meaning Bayelsans, this barring of roads and waterways, would it go a long way?
I don't think the police will bar roads from today. Maybe 12 hours or 24 hours to the election.
Saturday.
So they can make this announcement so that people who need to go to their communities will have to go to their communities. But whatever they will do to enthrone security for the protection of lives and property is welcome. After all, you need to be alive to use the road.
To even vote.
To even vote, you need to be alive. But because I've been thinking how, why elections in Bayelsa have become so, is it contestable? Why is it in this manner where we're having this level of insecurity because of an election?
Let me also tell you something. While one of the things I will appeal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do is to see how we, throughout the country, but especially in the Niger Delta, okay, we can take away from the streets more arms and ammunition. By that, I mean light weapons. Yeah. For me, like I tell you, like those who know my antecedent, I'm a practitioner in the Niger Delta. I've read it. I act in it. There are more arms in the Niger Delta than it was before amnesty was declared. Even more sophisticated arms. So part of what has given people impetus, okay, the temerity to prosper their trade in violence during elections is the possession of arms in non-state actors. So the president, in conjunction with stakeholders, during this period and beyond this period, we need to come up with a strategy to mop up, okay, while we create jobs to ensure that youths are meaningfully
Engaged.
okay? Especially in the Niger Delta. Let me also mention, what we have in the Niger Delta, it's not just oil. For example, Bayelsa State, okay, has littoral opportunities if it takes advantage of the Gulf of Guinea of not less than $7.5 billion per annum, which is why we are commending the governor for the kind of roads he's constructing to the areas like Brass, so that they can take advantage of the Brass Island, make a city out of it, and branch and tap into those littoral opportunities, which he is promoting. And that is why we need abundant peace, because in doing this, government cannot be alone on it. You also need private sector participants.
All right.
Okay, and peace is critical to the invitation of these partners. So, Mr. President and all stakeholders should look at the Niger Delta beyond oil, okay, and into other opportunities that are abound. Because by that, we'll rake in more income to the country, cause more stability in the Niger Delta by creating employment, and have a more peaceful Nigeria towards the $1 trillion economy that is the dream.
Our time is up. Alfred Kemepadu, former Secretary General, Ijaw Youth Council, thank you for your time. Well, that's the much we can take on the show this morning.